Welcome to Spectrum Perspectives, real talk with parents, professionals, and autism advocates. With your host, Cindy Gellermini.
Brady also has irritable bowel disease, and we see a specialist for that. It's all in the gut.
Yeah.
It's all in the gut. He's had 2 or 3 colonoscopies within the last 2 years. Yes.
How do you do that?
Oh, sedate him.
Right. Yeah. But does he drink the stuff?
Yes.
Really?
He's so good about taking his medication. As long as I have a Pepsi, a diet Pepsi to the side, he'll take his magnesium citrate. I've got 4 bottles ready to go if we ever need it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no thanks.
I know, but they said it was a very quick procedure. And then I kept having nurses come out. She's like, his intestines are all kind of wonky and stuff. It was a 6-hour colonoscopy. That poor doctor, they had to switch out the nurses during the procedure. But, you know, so I know that if he's in pain or if he self-abuses, it's going to be either the autism or it's going to be irritable bowel disease, things like that. And of course, we take medication for that as well. So he can be a very sickly child, but Texas Children's has always met our needs. And I love it. I told my husband we're never leaving Houston.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you find people that you like, that's a huge thing.
Yes, but my son's about to turn 17. And then when he turns 18, I have been told that we'll have to find adult doctors that the Children's Hospital may not see us anymore. I hope that's not true because we love our psychiatrist and she's awesome. And we love our
only pediatric.
Yes. He'll be an adult and we might have to find somewhere else to go. And I just hate that. Yeah. I try not to think about it, but I'm a proactive mom, so I can't help but think about that.
Do they have an autism center there?
Where?
At the hospital.
Oh, yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, but again, for kids. So
it's not, they don't continue into adulthood?
Well, I don't know. That's something I have to investigate.
You may have to do something about that.
I just found this all out. I just assumed that 30 years old and still get to see our psychiatrist.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You may need to step in there and make some changes to make sure that it's an autism center all the way up into adulthood.
Yes.
So it'd be nice if you could see some of the same doctors stay within that, but I don't know.
But I squirrels so much, but we did pull him out of school when he was in 4th grade because they couldn't meet his needs. But of course we found out it was because of all the strep and stuff, but insurance agreed to pay for private school after we were in the hospital for 5 days. They're like, okay. And they caved after we had been fighting for so long because we always wanted him in a private school that did ABA all day long. Right. So starting in 4th grade, we were able to get our insurance to pay for Brady to go to private school. So
insurance has to pay for that? I thought your Board of Ed has to pay for that.
No.
I mean, because that's, again, I don't know how it is out there, but here,
no, you're right.
District cannot, and that's when you get the attorney.
The parents have to fight for it. And I'm not going to.
Yeah. And that's when the attorney gets involved.
For it, especially when our insurance pays 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. See, I didn't know that was an option to have insurance pay.
Yes. So our insurance pays. We, of course, have a deductible, but I just didn't. It's not worth fighting the school district the insurance is going to give.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. If insurance
pays, and then I'm working for that school district too. It's tough.
Yeah.
So
that is
you.
Yes. Yeah, that's a conflict of interest right there. Yeah.
It's not supposed to be, but it does. It can be. But he went to that school all the way up until COVID closed it down.
Oh, wow.
And luckily, we were able to find another place about 6 or 7 months after COVID shut that place down. We were able to go to another location, but for about 6 or 7 months, he was home. And I was still required to work from home because I'm in education. So I had to hire respite care, but he just didn't understand. His schedule was messed up and inevitably we were hospitalized again because he had a meltdown, a breakdown, whatever you want to call it, because for that whole time he was at that special school and it was awesome. And then now I'm stuck at home and I can't go out. I can't go to the grocery store like I love to go do. I can't walk around the mall. He just didn't understand, and he just melted. And so we were in the hospital for another 4 or 5 days. 14th floor again, Texas Children's Hospital. They let us stay. They were absolutely wonderful. And we just reset again with the meds. And knock on wood, we haven't had one of those hospitalizations.
What did he do for 5 days in the hospital? Just lay around in the bed? I mean, that was
He
always my
did.
thing.
He was exhausted. So of course they start with a heavy dose of different medications that he's already on, but they double or triple it. And then they slowly start to wean him off. And then we just kind of work on the different meds and levels and things like that. But he's always great in the hospital. I have to be honest with you. He's great in the hospital. He's great when we go to the grocery store, the mall. He's perfect when we go on trips. Perfect. Brady's favorite thing in the world is to go. It doesn't matter where you go. Let's just go. So at nighttime, my husband will take him just on rides on back roads back here, because he just wants to listen to rap music and go. When we take our family trip every year, he loves to just go to whatever activity I plan, go to the hotel, go out to eat. He's awesome because it's just constant movement for him.
Yep.
And when COVID hit, of course, he couldn't do anything but stay here. It was tough for him.
You could go on rides in the car though, just can't get out.
Yes, but in that very beginning stage, we were so afraid we were going to get pulled over by a cop because they were telling people to stay at home. So
I forgot about that. Yeah.
We were a little worried.
Yeah. I'm actually very thankful that my son is in heaven now. He did not have to go through the COVID, because it would have been really bad, because he's the same. He just wants to be on the go always.
Yes.
And I was like,
there was a lot of kids at Texas Children's Hospital at the same time Brady was there going through the exact same thing. They had meltdown.
Wow.
It's just tough. And before we went to Texas Children's Hospital, my husband and I were like, I think it's time we have to put him in a facility. It's that bad, because it was bad. And we went to one place here in Houston. They're like, okay, we're willing to meet with you. We go late at night to go meet with them. And they're like, oh, he's not potty trained. Oh, he's nonverbal. Oh, he's aggressive. Sorry, you can't go here. Go to this place. And I'm thinking, but this is what y'all do. And they're like, yes, but these people don't require one-on-one. It was tough. And that's why we just went back to Texas Children's Hospital. So I'll never make the mistake of going to these places for the other care. I'll just stick with Texas Children's.
So tell everybody what it is that you do for a living. You said you work for the schools, but you work with deaf children?
Yes. So I work for a regional day school program for the deaf, and my program services 11 different school districts, and my job is an educational diagnostician. So I evaluate students, I determine their strengths and their weaknesses, and I help the teacher set up goals and objectives and get the services that the child needs in order to be successful, because each child needs that specialized instruction. But I'm a fluent signer, so I work with the children that are deaf that need the sign language. But I've actually been working with a lot of nonverbal autistic kids that are deaf as well. God gave me a gift for that. So I'm helping for that as well. Yeah.
Well, it does help, because my son was nonverbal too. So they tried different ways of communicating, because that's the big issue. That's why you have the meltdowns, because they can't communicate. So if they can at least learn some signs, that helps them communicate. So I'm assuming you were trying to teach your son sign language from the very beginning, right?
Yes. But what has really helped Brady is it's a calendar box system. And when I was a teacher before I became an educational diagnostician, I worked with a child that was deaf and blind. And Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired came to my classroom to help me learn how to teach her better. And there's something called a calendar box system. And you can see that on the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired's website. It's just a box with different things, and you can put 3D objects, you can put pictures, you can put written words, anything that you want to do. And you just talk about, first we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. And it's a wonderful language experience. And we're pointing, we're drawing about the different objects in the box. And We go to this, when we've done that, we put it in the finish box, and then we go to the next one. And then at the end of the day, you get your finish box. They're like, you remember when we did this earlier? You remember when we did that? And we have another language experience. So what has really helped Brady is this calendar box system. He knows what to expect. He actually gets to choose what goes in some of the boxes. And we started that at his school right now. So it's ABA with this calendar box system, and he's just flourished with it. And so we have noticed that his pointing, his gesturing, his use of the PEC system, all of that has increased since adding that calendar box system. I wouldn't have known about it though if I hadn't taught a child.
Right.
You know, I think God has placed me in all these different situations because he gave Brady to me, saying, let me give you the tools to help raise him.
Right. Right. And then through that, you can help others.
Yes, that is exactly what I want to do. So right now, I have, of course, my bachelor's and my master's, but I'm a PhD candidate at Liberty University, and I chose educational law. My ultimate goal is to one day either retire or leave the public school sector and become a full-time educational advocate, special education advocate. They're calling them non-attorney advocates now. I would like to help parents because there's a lot of things that they don't know, that questions they don't even know what to ask. Their kids need help. They need help. And I want to be there to help hold their hand and help them out and do those things. I have a heart for it.
Yeah. See, if I was you in that first IEP meeting and they told me he only needs a half day, I would have said, oh, okay, I guess you know best, like I wouldn't even have known, no, he really needs full day. He needs to have, therapy.
But I had a few years of special education already under my belt. So I knew, but I didn't know how to fight it. I didn't know how to prove my point besides throwing a tantrum or something like that. And that's why I had to go get an attorney. And there are a lot of parents that can't afford attorney, but they can maybe afford an advocate that can go with them and sit with them and like, okay, let's mediate. Let's figure out how we're going to do what we're going to do. Do you have any questions? Because a lot of times we go in there and it's rote. We're using acronyms after acronyms after, and the parents don't realize that.
Right.
What's going on? What do you mean? What are you saying? Oh, we only have a 45-minute timeline that you've given us to finish this ARD. And so this advocate can help bridge this gap that parents have with the school system.
Right. Right. And somebody that understands the language and also kind of knows what their child needs. You can help guide the parents a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds great. So he's 16. He's living with you. He'll go to school till he's 21, I assume.
Your lips, God's ears. Hope so. A lot of times the insurance companies stop paying for private school after the child turns 18. So I'm hoping that our insurance company will continue to pay for it. That's why I went to school. If let's just say our insurance company doesn't pay for private school, I will have my degree, and maybe I'll have to work with parents at nighttime while my husband is here at the house. And then during the day, I work with Brady here. We just have to kind of figure it out. But I knew I needed to get this done before he turned 18, just in case one has to work in the morning and one has to work at night.
Interesting. And then let's assume even that he can go to school till 18 or 21. What happens after that?
There's not many places around for kids that are this severe. Have you seen that in New Jersey too? It's just,
Oh yes. That's why I started my YouTube channel when my son had turned 21. There was nothing out there. There were no day programs. The day program he went to was actually started by 6 moms that all had autistic kids. And the principal of the school actually came to them and said, listen, there's nothing out there. And if you want something to happen, you have to do it yourself. And they started their own foundation and they did all themselves. It's one of my earlier interviews on my podcast. I talked to 2 of those moms. And we are, considered state of the art here in New Jersey. you know, with all of the programs. People move here to New Jersey so they can get all these great programs, but it stops at 21. You know,
Well, I mean,
and
he
then
could
what?
always go back to public school and he could stay till he's 21. If the insurance company were to stop paying for private, he could go back. Just
Right.
he would need to be reevaluated and placed back in the school system. I just really love what ABA has done for him, what ABA has done for us.
Mhm.
But
You don't
as
feel
far
that
as
ABA
after
is abuse?
21,
Have
ma'am?
you heard that? Have you heard that? Those arguments online? You don't feel that ABA is abuse?
No,
Have you heard that?
absolutely. Well, yes,
Yeah, you
I
know
have
that
heard
that
I
argument
don't
goes
believe
on.
in that.
Right.
Yeah, I know if it works for my kid,
Right.
positive reinforcements, replacement behaviors,
Yeah.
it's great for us. Honestly, I don't know where we would go because we are very limited. I have found 3 places. We're on the waiting list for one place, which luckily is only 10 minutes from my home.
Mhm.
But again, insurance would have to pay for it.
And this is what, a group home or
It's a day facility.
a day? Right. Okay. So it's someplace
So
that
that
he
he
can
can
go
still
during the
come
day.
home at night and be
Right.
with us.
Okay. So you have to get on a waiting list for that.
Yeah, I've been on that one for a while. There's a place north of Houston, but it's like an hour drive.
Wow.
And that's pretty far. And then there's another one that's like a 45-minute drive. But again, the waiting lists are so long, they're so full. I really just, the world is unknown for the future. It really is. So right now, what I'm focusing on is when my son turns 17, we have found a company that's going to walk us through the stages of getting the guardianship, the stages of working to get the Social Security for him.
Yep.
I'm a proponent of, if you don't know it like the back of your hand, get someone that does know it like the back of their hand. So I'm going to get an advocate for us to walk us through the stages of guardianship and the SSI. And then hopefully if I learn it that well, I can help someone in the future. So that's our main focus right now, is getting ready for those 2 huge obstacles that are about to happen for us.
Right. So one of the last questions that I ask is, you know, if you could talk to a governor, senator, somebody in your state, you know, and they asked you, what do we need? If they said, we want to help families like you, what do you need? What would you tell them that you need?
A lot. Let me get my soapbox real quick. So we need more funding for special education programs.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be able to appeal to those that don't want to work in the public school system. We need more money for the teachers. The teachers need to get paid more. We need more people to help them out. We need more paraprofessionals. But also, when you're looking at that post-secondary model, we need more programs for families, for our severe kids to go to, whether it be day have, whether it be residential, these little bitty pocket places that, oh, there's 4 in this state, there's 2 in this state. It's not enough. We need to be able to open more facilities for these children so that there's a place for them to go to. For those students that may not be able to hold down a job, may not be able to live on their own. They're severe like Brady. Where are they going to go? If the governor could put more money into that, that would be great. Paying more teachers, putting funding into the school system, and looking at those post-secondary needs for those students. That's what I would tell him.
Mm-hmm.
Or her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's you're on the same soapbox as I am, you know, and it all comes down to money. It all comes down to funding.
Well, you know, I'm on some other boards too, and I'm pushing. I keep saying we've got to start looking at the older population of students. Yes, that window of being, you know, the child, the birth all the way up to 21. Yes, it's very important. There are those windows that you need to focus on, but those kids don't just magically go away, or the autism doesn't magically go away. We need to focus on that population as well. It's so very important. I never really thought about that until my son got older. you
Right.
know, and I started to see, wow, the resources just started going down for kids at that early age,
Mhm.
the late age.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I've been saying that for years. You know, my son, he would be turning 31 now. So he's old compared to, you know, he's way ahead of everybody else. And I kept saying all the little ones that are 5 or 10 even, you know, and the autism keeps increasing. That's going to be like a tsunami that's going to hit, you know. And what are
Yes.
you going to do about it? What are you going to do? You know, it's
We're not thinking about it right now.
to me, that's the real pandemic. I mean, it's the amount of kids that have autism that are all going to turn 21 and become adults, and they need people to care for them. They need facilities to go to. And it's a big problem, and something needs to be done. So,
And will the money be there for them? Like Brady has been on a waiting list. It's called the HCS list. It's for him to be able to get money through the state to pay for therapies, to assist in group homes or job coaching or anything. The list is long, but he's been on that waiting list since he was 2 years old, and his name still hasn't come up because it keeps getting frozen. Or, well, yeah, it's been frozen like 2 or 3 times. And so we've had someone call us. He's like number 10,000 on the list, and he's 16. His name is never going to come up. Will they ever get the assistance that they need, even though we were proactive and got the name on the list when they were so young? So I just find it very frustrating.
Yeah. For me, for Robbie, his behaviors and the seizures and everything had gotten so bad that we finally went to the state for help, and they recommended that he go into a group home. He was number 4,555 on that list. And then I found out, no, there's another list. You have to be on the emergency list. Once you get on the emergency list, then that's when you get placement. It's when they're in danger of imminent peril, they're going to become homeless because the parents are going to pass away and they have nowhere to live and no relatives, you know, like that's how you got them into, you know.
But how did you find out about the list? Because I'm sure they weren't just like raising a banner up to tell everybody.
I met a woman that worked for a company that had group homes, because I'm in the interior design field. So she had come to me to help with a design thing for one of the homes. And I started talking to her, and I asked her, I said, how can I get my son into a place like this? And she told me. I said, he's on the priority list. She says, no, that's not good enough. No, there's beyond that is an emergency list. He has to get on that. And if I hadn't met her, I wouldn't have known. I mean, you talk about God setting things up. She just happened to walk into my work one day. So yeah.
We need more people to hold the hands of those that don't know. Like your one video where there's a woman that's just assisting families in helping them just go through the process of the whole autism journey. I watched one of your videos on that the other day. When Brady first got the diagnosis, I actually called a friend that had a son with autism. I'm like, I need you to be my mentor for 1 year. Can you promise me that you will be there for me for 365 days and just walk me through all the processes of food, of doctors, answer any questions I may have. I tell parents a lot of times when their child gets that diagnosis, find a buddy, someone that's already been through it, and be with that person for at least 1 year until you feel a little bit stronger about that process, because it worked for me.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, and there's a couple of moms that I've interviewed that they actually have businesses that's what they do. Because they have older sons, and now they want to mentor and help the younger moms and help them get
and we need
process.
Yeah. Because you're just like, you're inundated. Do I do the holistic? Do I do meds? Do I do ABA? Do I do public school? Do I do homeschool? It's so overwhelming. And then you have every book. I can remember having every autism book laid out. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. Oh God, where am I going to find the time? And I still have to work and pay the bills. And it's very overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like we're ending this on a bad note. I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
There are good moments in all of these things. There really are.
There is. But sort of my purpose of doing these videos, the way it started was because somebody had told me that our governor wanted to do something to help autism families. And I said, he wants to do something? Like what? What does he want to do? Does he know anything about autism? Does he have any experience with it? Has he met with autism families? Has he talked to them and said, hey, what do you need? So I took it upon myself to start interviewing families and saying, hey, what are you going through and what do you need? That's why I ask the questions that I do. Because I'm trying to also find solutions. I had met someone that was running for governor, and he wanted to meet with all these parents of autistic kids. And we all told him, the issues, it's, whatever, it's a low income job. There's not enough training. There's not enough money, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, he said, okay, so what's the solution? And nobody had an answer, so I'm trying to also pull that out of people, like, okay, how do we fix this? What's the answer? Maybe we can brainstorm together. I don't have it's all about the money.
It all comes down to that.
It's always about the money. And I've always said this, it's not going to happen until someone has an autistic child themselves, because then they'll care. They'll understand, and then they'll care. You care because you've lived it. Just like you said, when you sat in on that IEP meeting, right? Now, when you're in IEP meetings with other parents, you can relate to them. You understand because you've been through it, right? You've been on both sides of the table, So I don't know. We need governors that have autistic kids for something to get done. I don't know. I don't know. But from what I see, is moms are the ones that get it done. Just like you're going back to school. Because you want to fix it. You want to do it. I've interviewed other moms that have started foundations. They've started their own day programs. They build their own group homes, because if you sit around waiting for other people to do it, it's not going to happen. So
preach.
Yeah. Right. So
say it louder for the people on the back row.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's the other thing. I want to kind of light a fire under moms and dads. I'm like, look, and inspire them. I want them to see what other parents are doing. And, you can do it. You can. I didn't think I could do much, but I'm doing the best that I can. So, just keep.
And I have to say, God bless my husband, because he's been riding around with both of my kids and 2 dogs
and keeping them quiet for a whole hour.
House. He's
Props
awesome.
to him.
Shout out to my husband, Guy.
That's awesome. All right. So, So terrific. Thank you very much for joining me and telling me your perspective, giving us your story, and I wish you all the best. And I hope, things get figured out for your son, that he can at least stay till he's 21 and things start getting put in place. So you can just pray for something to open up for him.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. That's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed listening and it helped you gain a new perspective. If you're interested in buying our book series, Robbie's World and His Spectrum of Adventures, the link will be in our episode description, as well as my Instagram and Facebook pages. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like more content, please be sure to hit that like button, follow us, and don't forget to leave us a great review. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.